Well, my name is Kimberly Larson. I work with Climate Solutions. We're a clean energy economy nonprofit. And tonight we are at Climate Science on Tap at Optimism Brewery. Yeah, well, so Climate Solutions is all about accelerating solutions to the climate crisis. We know we need a lot more, a lot faster as far as if we're going to solve this in time, and we know we can if we all lean in. And so we're here tonight to talk about how we can take the region in the Pacific Northwest to be 100% clean electricity and 100% clean transportation, and how we can transform how we get around in our communities, and also how if our legislature this year in 2020 passes a clean fuel standard, we can really lead in Washington state. Well, so when I think about what are some steps that we can do as a state, one of the things that's really exciting is that we can show the rest of the world that we are ready for bold action, and we're going to stand up to the oil industry, and we're going to say no to inaction, and we're going to say no to delay. And our legislators who are elected to represent us in Olympia can actually be bold and also stand up and do the right thing. And so one way that we can all demonstrate to the world as far as climate action is we, as constituents, can call our senators to say to do the right thing. And then our senators can vote for the things that we know are needed. And not just vote for it, but also lead and encourage their colleagues to do the same. As far as what can we as individuals do to transform our transportation to be 100% clean, we can really, first of all, not feel bad for using the system to change the system. Right? That's step one, because sometimes some of us who have cars have to drive, but we also know that we're using that need right now to drive change, and that matters. We can also switch it up. So as far as individuals, we can switch it up a lot more for how we get around. We can walk, we can take a bus, we can carpool, offer rides, we can go one direction one way and a different direction, a different way home, or a different way to work. So we can try to switch it up a lot more often as far as how we get around in our lives, going to work or going to things with friends, or also all the ways in our lives that we just move around in our communities. And we know that it really matters to have cleaner air and also a more affordable system, because we don't want just all the vehicles on the road right now to be clean. We want to be able to get around in our lives a lot more efficiently and also more affordably. We know that matters too. So we need to clean up our air, but we also need to offer a system that works for everybody. Yeah, so often people say it's going to cost too much for the transition, right? And I think the really great way to think about it is, what is it going to cost us to not do something? And right now we're already feeling the cost of asthma attacks. We're feeling the cost of air pollution. We're feeling the cost of not being able to get around fast in our lives. Like, you want to take the bus, but you worry about how long it's going to take you. There are a lot of things that we already are feeling the cost of. And the beautiful thing with gas is it doesn't cost a lot if we don't use it as often. And that's exactly what the oil industry doesn't want us thinking about. They don't want us thinking about the fact that we actually don't have to use it to power our lives and power to how we get around. And if we have things like a clean fuel standard, we would actually have more choices at the pump that are cleaner, that are things like electricity, that are things that are not based on fossil fuels. And that is exactly what the oil industry is afraid of. Yeah, well, so one of the great ways that people can support climate solutions is to saying yes to climate solutions all the time in your life. So it's really one of the most basic ways, I feel like, to support a climate solution and our organization, and the concept overall of what we need for a positive future, is to talk about it. And we say that a lot because we don't talk about the problems that we face, and we don't talk about the solutions that we can have as a community and as individuals in our lives. And if we share that with each other, we actually can realize that it's possible. And so that's a big step. And people can also just show up by voting. Show up by asking your friends to vote. Show up by all the ways you make purchases. Show up by the ways that you can just change your life on a day-to-day basis. Or also make sure that you're demonstrating to other people what's needed for political action. To really be making sure the people who are in theory representing us when they're making choices in Olympia or in the other Washington, that they actually are remembering that they're representing the people and not special interests. I would just love to add that I think that climate solutions, like when you look at like whether or not we should be optimistic or we should be pessimistic, is it glass full or is it glass half full or half empty when we like look at the issue of climate change? I would really love for us to just think more about what a beautiful writer had to say once, Margaret Wheatley. So this beautiful writer, Margaret Wheatley, once said that we shouldn't talk about whether it's a glass half full or half empty, but who needs the water and how do we get it to them? And we should really think about just who needs the water, who needs the solutions, who needs the clean air, and how do we get it to them as fast as possible. And that's what this issue is about. We need to just be doing for real in our communities and in our lives and not worry about the question of can we or can we not, because I think it's just necessary to move forward and act like the world's on fire, because it is.